Hello students, welcome to Notebook. Do you know how the Jarawas, a great Andamanese tribe, collect honey? The Jarawas are a tribe who live in the south and middle Andamans of India. They live outside the mainstream society, follow their own rules, and depend on the forest resources for their survival. They travel long distances to collect honey from beehives found on tall trees. When they spot a beehive, they sing to express their happiness. Both men and women climb trees to cut the beehive. The honey collectors chew the leaves of a plant called uyekwalin. They spray the leaf sap at the bees with their mouth to keep them away. Then they cut the nest and carry it back home. Like the Jarawas, the people of the Indian subcontinent had many indigenous communities of people. Many of these tribes no longer exist. They have become extinct. The Indian society, since the ancient and the medieval ages, was divided into the Varna or the caste system. The Brahmanas were at the top of this caste system. They were recognized and respected as the highest Varna. These divisions became more prominent or important during the rule of the Delhi Sultans and the Mughal rulers. The tribal people, however, did not follow the rules prescribed by the high caste Brahmanas. Within their community, there were no such divisions. They opposed or went against the caste-based society. The tribes enjoyed great unity within their communities. They lived in far-off or inaccessible places like deserts, forests, and hills. Their livelihood depended on agriculture or farming. They also hunted animals, gathered fruits, and forest resources. Some of them were herders who depended on their livestock or domestic animals. Others wandered from place to place or lived the life of a nomad. The tribals usually kept no written records of their customs and ways of living. They relied on oral traditions in which the history and customs of their communities were passed down to the next generations through spoken words and songs. Some powerful tribes had control over large territories or regions. In the 13th and 14th centuries, the Khokhar tribe in Punjab was very influential. Raja Jasrath Khokhar was a famous leader of the Khokhars who tried to capture Delhi and was partly successful. The Gakhars also became very important in this region. The Mughal king Akbar made their tribal chief Kamal Khan Gakhar a noble or mansabdar. Other important tribes were the Langas and Arguns in Multan and Sindh, the Balochis in the northwest, the Gaddis in the western Himalayas, and the Nagas and Ahoms in the northeastern part of the subcontinent. The Mundas and Santals lived in Orissa and Bengal. The Berads and the Kolis had settlements in the highlands of Maharashtra and Karnataka. The Bhils lived in western and central India, and the Koragas, Vetars, and Maravars could be found in the south. The Chero chiefdoms in present-day Bihar and Jharkhand fought with the Mughals. Akbar's famous general, Raja Man Singh, attacked and defeated the Cheros in 1591. He plundered their wealth or resources. The Cheros were powerful, and they did not lose their prominence or importance after Man Singh's attack. King Aurangzeb finally defeated the tribe by capturing their fortresses. Most of these tribes had become farmers or agriculturalists by the late 16th century. However, many of them were nomadic pastoralists, or people who wandered from pasture to pasture with their herds. The nomadic pastoralists were dependent on their livestock for their food. They exchanged or sold wool, ghee, and milk with settled farmer communities. In turn, they received cloth, grain, utensils, and other products from them. The most important trader nomad community was the Banjaras, who traveled in caravans called Tanda. They carried grain on their bullocks and sold it in towns. As many as 100,000 bullocks belonging to the Banjaras transported grains for the Mughal army during military campaigns. Alauddin Khilji employed Banjaras to transport food grains to the city markets. Emperor Jahangir has also written about them in his memoirs. So, we see that these tribal groups had already started losing their autonomy or independence. They had come into contact with the mainstream society to fulfill their needs. They were dependent on the mainstream society in some ways. So they also had to offer their services. The caste-based society too imbibed or included some of these tribes to fulfill their growing needs. Many jatis or smaller castes appeared within the Varnas. The Brahmanas gave the status of jatis to specialized artisans like the smiths, carpenters, and masons. The Hunas, Chandelas, and Chalukyas emerged as the new Rajput clans among the Rajputs in the 11th and 12th centuries. They replaced the older rulers in the farmlands of agricultural areas and became the new rulers. They turned their states powerful with agricultural wealth. Many of the tribes disliked and rejected the caste divisions of the mainstream society. They converted to Islam before they became part of the mainstream society. Social change started taking place among the tribes. We'll find out about the social changes which took place among the Gonds and the Ahoms. The Gond kingdom of Garha Katanga in Gondwana was very powerful. Akbarnama mentions that this kingdom had 70,000 villages. The small clans with their own rajas or rais became popular when the power of the Mughal Empire was declining or decreasing. The Gond kingdom had many regions called Garhs, controlled by Gond clans. Each Garh was divided into units called Chaurasi with 84 villages. The Chaurasi was subdivided into Barhots with 12 villages each. Till now, the tribes were free of caste, varna or class divisions. But as the Gonds became more powerful and organized themselves into large states, they lost their principles of unity and equality. They became divided into unequal social classes. The Gonds wanted to be recognized as Rajputs. Amandas, Gond Raja of Garaha Katanga, took the title of Sangram Shah. His son Dalpat married the daughter of a Chandela Rajput Raja, Princess Durgavati. Dalpat's wife Durgavati was a brave and capable woman. She took control of the kingdom and extended it after her husband's death. She put up a brave fight against the Mughal forces under Asif Khan. She and her son died fighting. Garha Katanga, under the Gonds, was a rich state. They trapped and exported wild elephants to other kingdoms. The Mughals captured their precious coins and elephants when they defeated the Gonds. The Gond kingdom passed into the hands of Chandra Shah and the Mughals. The Gonds became weaker and lost out to the stronger tribes, the Bandelas and the Marathas. Another important tribe, the Ahoms, migrated or moved to the Brahmaputra Valley from present-day Myanmar in the 13th century. They were a military tribe who made and used firearms, gunpowder, and cannons. They built a large state by capturing the Chutia and Kok Hajo kingdoms and by defeating other tribes. The Mughals, under Mir Jumla, attacked and defeated the Ahom kingdom. After this, people of the Ahom state were forced to work as laborers. Those forced to work for the state were called Paiks. Each village sent a number of pikes by rotation. The Ahom clans, like the Gonds, were also broken up, and their administration became centralized, which means a central or single power controlled them instead of many chiefs. The Ahom society was divided into clans or khels. A khel controlled several villages. The village community divided land among the peasants. The king did not have power to take away the peasants' lands. The male adults of the villages worked at various occupations. They joined the army, built dams, irrigation systems, and introduced new methods of rice cultivation. The Ahoms used to worship their own tribal gods, but as they became part of mainstream society, they gave up their old and traditional religious beliefs. Most of them converted to Hinduism during the rule of Shiv Singh. The Brahmins grew in influence and power during this time. The Ahom society was a scholarly, sophisticated, or advanced and literary society, which means they loved art and culture. They encouraged theatre, gave land grants to poets and scholars, translated Sanskrit works to the local language, and wrote historical works called Buranjis. With that, we come to the end of our today's lesson. Find out about the tribal communities in India at present. Discuss where they live, their cultures, their festivals, and their ways of living with your friends. Many of these tribes strongly protested against British rule. You can also find out about these protests and uprisings. See you soon in our other videos. Till then, keep learning.